The battlefield of Kurukshetra was ready. Conches had sounded, armies stood face to face, and the moment of war had arrived. But Arjuna suddenly looked at the people standing before him. Teachers, relatives, friends, and loved ones were on both sides. His hands became weak, his mind filled with fear and confusion. He looked at Shri Krishna and said, "How can I fight when victory itself may bring sorrow?" Krishna looked at Arjuna calmly. He did not tell him to run away from his responsibility. Instead, he taught him the first truth of life. He explained that a person cannot always control what happens around him, but he can control his actions, his intentions, and the way he responds. Arjuna wanted to know the result before taking action. Krishna showed him that this desire for a guaranteed result is one of the greatest causes of anxiety. Do your duty sincerely. Give your best effort, but do not allow the result to control your mind. Arjuna listened silently, and Krishna continued because this was only the beginning of a much deeper truth. Krishna said, "Arjun, imagine a farmer who plants a seed. The farmer can prepare the soil. He can water it. He can protect the plant and give it sunlight. But can he command the exact moment when the fruit will appear? No. In the same way, human beings can control their effort, but many things connected to the final result are beyond their control. When a person becomes obsessed with the result, every small failure feels like a disaster. If success comes, he becomes proud. If failure comes, he becomes broken. Thus, his happiness becomes dependent on something he cannot completely control. Krishna taught Arjuna to change his focus. Instead of constantly asking, "What will I get?" ask, "Am I doing what I should do?" This does not mean that goals are wrong. It means that your peace should not depend completely on achieving them. Work with sincerity. Learn from failure. Accept success with humility, and continue moving forward. Arjuna began to understand. But then another question appeared in his heart. If life is full of effort, why does suffering come even when we do our best? Krishna was ready with the next lesson. Krishna looked toward the battlefield and spoke gently. "Arjun, suffering is a part of human life. But suffering does not always mean that life has become meaningless. Sometimes pain comes to teach patience. Sometimes failure reveals our weaknesses. Sometimes losing something teaches us its true value. And sometimes difficult situations force a person to discover strength that he never knew existed. A person often asks, "Why is this happening to me?" But Krishna encouraged a deeper question. What can I learn from this? The first question can fill the mind with helplessness. The second can open the door to growth. Krishna did not promise Arjuna that life would become free from difficulty. Instead, he taught him how to remain steady when difficulty arrives. A storm does not ask whether a tree is ready, but a tree with deep roots can survive the storm. In the same way, a person who develops wisdom, patience, and faith becomes stronger from within. Arjuna slowly realized that perhaps the purpose of life was not to escape every difficulty. Perhaps the purpose was to become strong enough to face difficulty without losing oneself. Then Krishna spoke about another painful situation. What should a person do when everyone seems to stand against him? Krishna told Arjuna that there will be moments when people misunderstand you. Some may criticize you, some may leave you, some may doubt your ability, and sometimes even the people you trust may not understand your path. But Krishna taught that a person should not abandon his rightful duty simply because others disagree. Think of the sun. It does not stop shining because someone closes their eyes. A person should also continue doing what is right, even when appreciation does not come immediately. But there is an important difference. Following your duty does not mean becoming stubborn. A wise person listens, learns, and corrects mistakes. Yet he does not surrender his principles merely to gain approval. Arjuna was facing exactly such a moment. His emotions were telling him to escape. His fear was telling him to stop. But Krishna reminded him that running away from responsibility would not automatically remove the problem. True courage is not the absence of fear. True courage is doing what is right even while fear exists. Arjun listened carefully, but Krishna then took the conversation even deeper. He asked Arjun to understand something beyond victory, defeat, praise, and criticism. He asked him to understand the difference between the body and the eternal self.
Krishna explained that the human body changes with time. Childhood becomes youth. Youth becomes old age. The body continues to change, yet the sense of I remains. In the same way, Krishna taught that the true self is deeper than the temporary body. The body is like clothing. It changes, becomes old, and eventually is left behind. But the self is not defined only by the body. This teaching was not meant to make Arjuna careless about life. Instead, it was meant to remove unnecessary fear. Death is one of the greatest fears of human beings because they often believe that everything ends with the body. Krishna taught Arjuna to look beyond temporary changes and understand the eternal nature of the self. This does not mean that losing someone is painless. Human emotions are real. Love is real. Grief is real. But wisdom helps a person understand that change is also a natural part of existence. Arjuna's fear began to become quieter. He understood that life should not be wasted in constant fear of what cannot be avoided. But Krishna still had one more battle to reveal. It was not happening outside. It was happening inside Arjuna's own mind. Krishna told Arjuna that the mind can become either a friend or an enemy. A controlled mind can guide a person toward wisdom. An uncontrolled mind can pull a person toward fear, anger, desire, and confusion. Think about how one thought can change an entire day. A small criticism can create anger. A small failure can create hopelessness. A small desire can become an obsession. And one fearful thought can create hundreds of imaginary problems. This is why Krishna emphasized discipline of the mind. He did not say that thoughts would disappear completely. Instead, he taught that a person should learn to observe the mind without becoming a slave to every thought. When the mind runs toward fear, bring it back. When it runs toward anger, bring it back. When it becomes attached to results, bring it back to action. This requires practice. Just as a restless horse needs training, the mind also needs training. Arjuna understood that controlling the outside world was impossible, but controlling his response to the world was possible. Then Krishna revealed another important truth. Even after controlling the mind, a person must understand what truly creates bondage. And that was attachment. Krishna explained that desire itself is not always the problem. The real problem begins when desire becomes attachment. A person may want success. That is natural. But when he believes, without this success I am nothing, his desire becomes a chain. When he becomes attached to praise, criticism becomes painful. When he becomes attached to wealth, the fear of losing it destroys his peace. When he becomes attached to a particular outcome, every unexpected event becomes a source of frustration. Krishna taught Arjuna to perform actions with dedication, but without becoming mentally imprisoned by the result. This is the meaning of inner freedom. A person can work hard without becoming desperate. He can love without trying to control everything. He can succeed without becoming arrogant. He can fail without believing that his life has ended. Such a person remains balanced. And balance is a powerful form of strength. Arjuna now understood that the battlefield outside was only a reflection of the battlefield within. But Krishna had not yet explained the highest path. He now began to speak about devotion and surrender. Krishna taught that knowledge is important, action is important, but devotion gives the heart a deeper direction. Devotion does not mean simply asking for everything we want. True devotion means trusting the divine while sincerely performing our responsibilities. A devoted person does not say, I will do nothing and God will do everything. Instead, he says, I will give my best effort and I will accept what comes with faith and humility. This attitude changes the heart. Success no longer creates arrogance. Failure no longer creates complete despair. Because the person knows that his effort matters, but he is not the absolute controller of every outcome. Krishna encouraged Arjuna to remember the divine while performing his duty. The hands can work, the mind can remain focused, and the heart can remain connected to something higher. This is how action becomes a spiritual path. Arjuna's confusion was disappearing, but one final question remained. If a person understands duty, controls the mind, accepts results and follows devotion, what does true wisdom finally look like? Krishna was about to reveal the answer.
Krishna described a wise person as someone who remains steady through the changing situations of life. When happiness arrives, he does not become lost in pride. When sorrow arrives, he does not completely collapse. When praised, he remains humble. When criticized, he does not immediately lose his peace. This does not mean that such a person has no emotions. It means emotions do not control his decisions. He understands that everything in life changes. Today may bring success. Tomorrow may bring difficulty. Today someone may praise you. Tomorrow the same person may criticize you. If your identity depends on these changing situations, your peace will always be unstable. But when your inner foundation becomes strong, outside circumstances lose their power over you. Krishna wanted Arjuna to become such a person, not someone who runs away from life, not someone who becomes emotionless, but someone who can stand firmly in the middle of uncertainty and still choose the right action. Arjuna finally looked at Krishna with a different kind of confidence. The battlefield had not changed. The armies were still there. The danger was still there. But something inside Arjuna had changed. His vision had become clearer. Krishna's teachings to Arjuna contain a timeless message for every human being. Life will give you situations you cannot control. People may misunderstand you. Results may not come according to your wishes. Suffering may appear without warning. And fear may sometimes become stronger than courage. But you still have a choice. You can choose your action. You can choose your attitude. You can train your mind. You can perform your duty sincerely. You can accept results with wisdom. And you can place your faith in the divine. The greatest lesson is not that you will always win. It is that you should not lose yourself while facing life. Do your duty without becoming a slave to the result. Face suffering without believing that it will last forever. Stand for what is right without depending completely on people's approval. Remember that the body changes, but the deeper self is beyond temporary circumstances. Train your mind instead of allowing every thought to control you. And walk through life with devotion, wisdom, and courage. Arjuna finally understood. The greatest battlefield was never only Kurukshetra. The greatest battlefield exists inside every human heart. And the moment a person learns to conquer fear, attachment, and uncontrolled desire, he begins to discover the true meaning of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita.